Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You're listening to the Yank and Kiwi podcast. Available everywhere on the net.
And welcome, one and all, to episode 15 of the Yank and Kiwi podcast. That's right, we made it to episode 15. And that's all because you guys tune into the best fucking podcast on YouTube. Anyway, how you guys been? I'm awesome. And joining you guys, as always, you fine people of YouTube and the internet, is I, your humble host, Brett, the handsome and charismatic one. And with me, filling in for Sam, the funny one who doesn't shut the fuck up, makes fun of my fashion sense and hairline.
It's me, Deantay, the one who has boring tastes in drinks.
And yes, also, this is the one show where drinking is a mandatory. Actually, no, not drinking, binge drinking. So, grab whatever. So, grab beer, grab wine, grab whiskey, grab rum. As long as it's got alcohol. If it has alcohol, fucking drink it. Me, I am enjoying some Southern Comfort whiskey.
Oh, good pick.
Yeah. Whiskey. Anyway, to start off, I want to do a little bit of a bit. I want to talk about people who are so autistic they can't tell when a joke is obviously a joke.
Oh, this should be interesting.
Yes, so, Deantay.
Yes.
Have you seen the Vindicators episode of Rick and Morty?
No.
Okay, well, short version is, there's a villain, there's a intergalactic team of superheroes that Rick doesn't get along with. Rick gets so blackout drunk that he not only kills the supervillain, he also invents a Saw-esque trap sequence to show how the Vindicators are ultimately a bunch of shallow assholes. And, well, let me show you one clip from YouTube, and you find people are gonna hear it as well.
Alrighty.
And, so yes, this, here we go.
Congrats, you did it!
What the hell is Israel?
It's just something Rick starts talking about when he's blackout drunk. What? In what way? Like, what's my point? In a way that has no point? You just babble about defense budgets in the United Nations and then you pass out. So, to be clear, I sometimes reference the geopolitical complexities of the topic, which is not the same as going to an anti-Semitic place.
I have no stake in this.
I don't either. I'm just saying, if anything, the drunk version of me is probably so supportive of Israel. He wants what's best for it, and...
Hey man, I'm not touching this. You do you.
Yeah, well, Deantay, as you can clearly see, here's what I put down. Rick is alt-right. We have proof.
But the hitman is Rick is a libtard. Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Random as fuck. Then why blow up Israel? Huh? Such a libshit.
Drunkenly desired, yes. Then next, the guy below that says, nah, Trump support... Actually, edit, it's a joke. But yeah, the guy below that says, nah, Trump supports Israel, and even says he respects Netanyahu, unfortunately, for the Palestinians. Some guy says, Rick is a... This guy's comment has about 9 likes. Rick is a nihilist with access to infinite possible timelines. I doubt he gives a shit about either side of the political spectrum. That's the first guy to admit... The first guy who's not catching on that this was a joke. I mean, is anyone else who would honestly take what I put down that seriously, man?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, this Victor Lund guy, this guy is in on it. Of course he is. He's the smartest guy of all universes. He's lost his spirit in the first seasons after the Jews and shitskins have ruined his nations. But by the latter seasons, he'll go 1488, and that's his redemption arc. Now here comes The bottom three are probably the most retarded ones.
Is that Harry?
Oh yeah, he's definitely the most retarded, but I'm saving him.
All right.
Alex Ryder says, to fight darkness is to fight yourself, Israel. Seems pretty cut and dry. I see you've all missed the wisdom in that line. What he means is Israel's all about fighting the supposed evil hordes around them, fighting terrorism. He suggests if Israel wants to fight darkness, they need look no further than themselves.
Okay, then.
Bottom guy says, no, we don't. There literally is no point in what he is saying. Morty himself even said there is no point in what he said. And Harry Christophe says, not everyone who criticizes Israel for illegally occupying parts of Palestine is a neo-Nazi, part of the alt-right lol. Many progressives on the left, including myself, criticize Israel for doing that, but none of us are anti-Semites because we criticize the Israeli government, not its people.
LOL.
For God's sake, because that, how hard is, that seems like a pretty, that seems pretty blatant that I was joking there, right?
Yeah. Well, look at the video you're commenting on. Jesus.
It's Rick and Morty. Who's going to take it that seriously, man?
Well, apparently these people.
That's what I mean by people who are so fucking autistic they can't see when a joke is clearly a joke.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Whatever.
That's fucking crazy.
I get to laugh at it a little bit myself, so I'm cool with it.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, as is our custom on this show, we are going to start with how our week has been.
Right, I will start off. I've actually decided to push forward with the Anime Origins episode, so I'm currently working on the second one now. I don't want to tell you which it is because I want it to be a surprise, but Brett, I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy this subject very much. I will say that.
Oh, I'm all right. My ass is ready.
Good to know. Anyway, I'm going to be doing an update video just to announce it, but I figured like this Anime Origins idea I came up with, which I can go into any kind of animations because bloody there's gargoyles, and gargoyles will be a hell of a good one to take on.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
So no one else is doing this. I thought I may as well just take it on myself and see how far it goes before someone else sees it and then start seeing their own thing.
Hey, I started a Werewolf the Apocalypse series completely by accident. It all began with that one video. I did not expect it to get as successful as it did, and
man.
Now here I am into the 4th episode of that series, which should be out by the middle of the week at the latest, which will be covering the Black Furies. Which
I'll be looking out for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been my plans, and also Deputy Prime Minister Paula Bennett has just proved she's way more fucking stupid than I ever thought, and I didn't give her much credit to begin with, but she said the most stupidest thing the other day. She was saying, someone was asking, do you realize that since National, which is the party she's with, since they've been at the top of the parliament, that the homeless in New Zealand has increased? And her counter to this, and I fucking shit you not, she goes, yes, we admit that this is a problem. So, okay, she knows that it's been a problem since she's come in, fair enough. But she says, but this is a positive thing. It means more people are coming to New Zealand to live. What? You fucking idiot.
Oh man, and I thought Ed Murray was stupid when he thought that the best way to deal with Seattle's homelessness crisis was to set up a safe injection zone, because there's a lot of overlap between our drug addicts and our homeless out in Washington. And Seattle's got it if it's not the worst, it's some of the worst in the whole state. But oh my god. Although actually I would say maybe Ed Murray's still a little dumber for setting up safe injection zones, but Paula Bennett is, well, if she starts saying, let's start teaching what's the big drug out in New Zealand? I think Sam told me it's meth, right?
Yeah, that'd be the biggest.
Yeah. So if Paula Bennett says we need to start showing our meth addicts how to properly take their drugs, then she'll be officially the stupidest woman on the planet. No. That honor goes to Theresa May.
No, she'll probably say something like, well, the good thing is our criminal empire is building, so people will pay more interest to New Zealand, or some shit like that.
Although I would still say Theresa May is the dumbest living woman in politics right now, though.
Oh yeah, no, okay, you got me there.
Yeah, I mean, and believe me, this is a circle that includes bitches like Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton. The only difference is that Theresa May is technically running one of the most powerful nations in the world. Starts a snap election and she loses his power in Parliament, in the UK Parliament. Yeah, I mean, like, if you look how the Tories have just taken hits in Parliament in the UK.
Yeah. Well, UK is pretty fucking divided at the moment, isn't it? With all the whole Brexit thing and all that coming in.
Yeah, I mean, like, the Brexit thing was kind of a given, but man, I mean, like, things have just gotten... It's like Theresa May's just fucked the dog at every point. Like, she says she wants to get a hard Brexit. She says she wants to negotiate a fair deal for the UK. And then she calls the snap election just in the hopes that she can get more, that she can legitimize the decision and legitimize her government. But not only have they got a terrible manifesto, they end up losing seats, I think, to Labour?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. I told Sam this a while ago that if it gets bad enough that I gotta hit the eject button, I'm landing in New Zealand, because you guys at least look like you have your shit together at the moment.
No. You might want to check out some other countries just to be safe, because we're slowly going down a dark road at the moment.
Yeah, maybe Australia.
No, they're not faring much better from what I hear.
The only problem is that the safest countries don't speak English.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but the safest place to live right now would probably be Japan.
And even that's fucking borderline fucking...
Oh yeah, Japan's got...
bad to be checked from outside sources.
And also... Oh yeah, That's right. Fuck, I forgot North Korea.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, there was like a family from Guam who came through my store yesterday. And I jokingly said to them, so, you guys hear that Kim Jong-un wants to nuke Guam? And of course they laughed at it. They didn't seem all that worried though, just because, well, it's North Korea and when has North Korea ever managed to build a working anything?
That's true.
But still be like...
The fact is though, give them enough time and sooner or later they'll get it, and that's actually a scary thought.
Oh yeah. And but enough about politics on my side of the Pacific. What did I... Oh yeah, I finally sat down to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I liked. Although I will say this. There are parts of the movie that are sappy as fuck.
Yeah, the ending fucking drags on a bit.
Yeah, well, not just the ending. I mean, like, there's like there are those scenes where everybody's like having a cry or a hug, and it's just like, I mean, I think probably one of the worst ones was when Yondu was telling Rocket, "You're just like me because you put up that tough guy exterior as a defense. But you're really all alone and stuff."
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not a bad film. It's just sappy in places.
Yeah. Now, did you actually get to see the post-credit scene with the Adam Warlock setup?
All of them. I saw all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, they fucking overdid it, but yeah. See, it looks like he's going to be a villain for the third movie, so he might completely bypass Infinity Wars at this point.
Oh no, who knows? But that remains to be seen.
Yeah, no, I'm just speculating here, of course.
Yeah. That's what everybody does on the internet anyway. They speculate.
Yeah, that's true.
And let's see what else is there. Well, about the only other thing I could talk about is Actually, no, I don't have anything else to go on about. So we'll just dive right into what the subject for this episode was going to be.
You ready?
Yeah. Which is one of my favorite film directors of all time is Stanley Kubrick. I love his movies. They rank among some of my favorite all-time films. And one of those films is A Clockwork Orange, which is based on a novel of the same name by Anthony Burgess.
It's a very weird movie too.
Well, that's pretty much most of Stanley Kubrick's movies anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Alright, so from here on out, it's going to be heavy spoiler territory, so if you haven't seen Clockwork Orange, which I highly suggest you do, I recommend you pause the episode right here, go watch the movie, and then come back. Because we're not going to hold anything back here.
No.
Deantay, how about you play us out?
Right, so the basic premise of Clockwork Orange is you got this group of 4 people, and the lead character is played by Malcolm McDowell, and they just act as they like, they attack who they like, they try to live outside the law as much as they can, and the lead, Malcolm McDowell's character calls these acts the ultra-violence, and well, to cut a long story short, he gets caught, he gets arrested, but he agrees to go into this program which sort of, how to explain it, it blocks his urges. Yeah. It keeps his urges blocked. And for the next half of the movie, he's basically meeting all these people that he's treated badly one way or the other, and they're all getting revenge on him, and he is helpless to do anything because every time he tries to make a move to defend himself, this mental block, it like paralyzes him, I guess. It does something to his mind. He's completely open to attack and he can't do a damn thing. And it's quite an interesting movie.
Yeah, were you going to go anywhere else?
I was going to say, it's one of the ones where Stanley Kubrick, if you know him, you know how much of a strict director is. He's very talented, but I bet he was an absolute bastard to work for.
Yeah,
but he always had a vision.
Oh, he was. I mean, like, you remember Shelley Duvall in The Shining?
Yeah, and Scatman Covers.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, he wanted her to get her to feel the terror that she was supposed to feel with Jack Nicholson. He kind of, sort of, emotionally abused her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this was, like, yeah, Stanley Kubrick, he was very meticulous. That's the best way you can describe his directing style. It's very meticulous. Like he has left everything down to the smallest detail. He has thought everything through very, very far ahead. Like, there's just so much planning, so much. It's just.
He wanted perfection. He had this vision, and he wanted it to be perfect.
Exactly. That's.
He didn't care what it took.
Yeah, like I said, he was. But that made him sort of a hard guy to work with, though. But because in the case of Shelley Duvall, like I said, he kind of emotionally abused her to get her to authentically communicate. You know that scene where Jack Nicholson's going crazy and.
Oh yeah, and she sounds so. That was real. That wasn't her acting. That was.
Yeah.
She was fucking dumb.
Yeah, she was fucking terrified. She really was terrified because she had been living with a guy that she had been working with a guy that had been emotionally abusing her for the better part of God knows how long. I think a few years.
18 months. It was 18 months.
Yeah, well, like I said, the guy was a son of a bitch, but do not question his results.
Oh no, you can't do that. But like I was saying, Clockwork Orange actually stands out because he gave Malcolm McDowell a lot of leeway, and I think it's the singing in the rain scene was actually improv.
Yeah, because that was like a song that Malcolm McDowell actually knew the words to.
Yeah, And yeah, Clockwork Orange, that's the other thing that makes it stand out from the other Stanley movies is, yeah, he gave Malcolm McDowell a lot of freedom, which is very unlike him. And the results were good, don't get me wrong, but it definitely sets it apart from the other movies he's released.
Indeed, and there's a lot of... This is a very meaty film, too, because this film delves into subjects like free will, and, goes into free will, justice system, and there's a guy on YouTube by the name of Rob Egger who has also made a case that A Clockwork Orange was also Stanley Kubrick's criticism of the European Union.
Oh. I'll have to check that out afterwards.
Yeah, I'll link that to you later, but
Cool.
I think I can kind of see what he's talking about, because the song that triggers Alex's nausea, there's also, because when they're brainwashing him, they're also playing a Beethoven the bit all over all the footage he sees, and it's Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And Deantay, do you happen to know what the European Union uses as its anthem?
Actually, I do not, to be honest.
They use Ode to Joy from the Ninth Symphony.
Ah. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, all right, there's a connection there. Maybe.
And also, let's not kid ourselves at the government of the world that Alex inhabits. It's very oppressive, too.
Yep. Yeah, that it is.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know he's basically the leader of a bunch of hooligans and thugs, but the world that Alex lives in is very much a dystopia. And it has this very oppressive atmosphere, especially during the brainwashing scenes when he's going through the Ludovico technique. Like,
yeah.
And there's actually something interesting about that scene. You know, like when they've got him strapped up and all.
Yep.
Well, here's one area where Stanley Kubrick actually messed up and had to correct. You know that... Do you have an idea of what happens when you don't shut your eyes for long enough?
No, I don't, actually.
Well, the reason why we shut our eyes is to keep them moist. So if your eyes are left open long enough, your eyes are going to dry out. And if your eyes dry out... well, your irises are going to crack.
Of course, yeah, and that's when they had the eye drops, yeah.
Yep. When the first time they were shooting that scene, Malcolm McDowell's eyes cracked.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Now, as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem like it permanently damaged his vision, but that's why they had to have the guy administering the eye drops in the scene, just to keep his eyes from drying out.
Yeah. No, I'd say he would be alright, because he went on to do a lot of stuff after that.
Yep.
But still, that's pretty freaking... wow.
Yeah. But, yeah. Also, there's a lot of... it's one of those scenes that's actually been parodied in other media. Like, you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Mr. Burns tries making Santa's little helper into one of his guard dogs?
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yep. That is basically a parody of that scene from A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. Well, Simpsons, Clockwork Orange has been parodied in lots of things, to be fair. I mean, you can find it all over the place, from music videos to a number of TV shows and even other movies.
Also true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess one place we can start out with where Clockwork Orange is concerned is its basic conceit is around free will. And the question it's asking is, can you make a person good by just removing all their negative impulses? Because that's essentially what the technique that Alex has put through is meant to do. It's meant to make him psychologically averse to doing anything negative, like violence or sex, anything of that nature. Sure.
Yeah, he can't even think about it, otherwise he'll have these like attacks or whatever.
Yeah, he basically has this. He gets this feeling of nausea, and it makes him want, and it just basically makes him want to stop doing anything.
Yep, shuts him down pretty much.
Exactly, and the question worth asking is, have they made Alex a good person, or have they just made him an automaton?
I'll go with option B, because I never think he turns into a good person. He wants to, he tries, but the world he's in, he just can't be that person.
No, he can't. No, he cannot. Although Rob Eggers also made a case that maybe Alex had not really changed at all, because, well, you have to think about it. He originally gets into the Ludovico technique just to get out of prison earlier, and you can definitely see that when he's trying to get into it, he's pretty much putting up an act.
Yeah, that's true. I think there was a part for a while that he did make an attempt, but it didn't last very long. It was very brief.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, a thing I think that's also worth bringing up is that the reason why it's called a Clockwork Orange is it basically acts as a metaphor for what is Alex's character arc. He's organic on the outside, but mechanical on the inside.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, that actually makes it one of the brilliant titles in all of fiction, if you think about it. But yeah, you and I were both basically of one mind on this, that Alex does not really change, and when my brother saw this, he kind of hated it because he didn't like the fact that Alex didn't change, but he doesn't get that that's the point. It's to show that putting Alex through all this brainwashing, basically stripping him of his free will, that didn't change him at all.
No, in fact, it's probably made him worse, because now he has a lot of built-up rage, and the ending few minutes shows that, oh, he can actually break out of this, and now he's ready to get back out there, and that's a little chilling to think about, considering.
Yeah, in fact, going back to Rob Egger, that's why he's not convinced that Alex really changed. And it's just because he basically reverts back to his own behavior, and that he also makes a good case for why he thinks the Ludovico technique might have possibly failed. You know that one scene where he's on the bridge?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's looking overhead into the water. Now, I don't know if you noticed this, Deantay, but right between the shots, the water level actually kind of rises or changes from one of those from the support beams on the bridge. Like the water actually rises on that beam, which is a pretty good indicator that Alex had been there for quite a while, probably waiting for someone to notice him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those little details that if you're not paying attention, you will miss it. And it's full of those details. Like another one, when Alex gets picked up by his former droogs, Georgie and Dim, and they're police officers. You notice that they got the numbers 665 and 667 on their uniforms.
Actually, I did notice that. Yeah.
So, they happen to have Alex, when they're dragging Alex up to that trough to basically waterboard him. They're holding him right between them, basically meaning that Alex has got the number of the beast.
Ah, true.
Another little detail, which is when he's at the journalist's house after he's the second time he goes back to the journalist's house, and when he's playing that bit of the ninth to torture Alex, he basically looks very similar to a Beethoven bust. I guess this is what I like about Kubrick movies. They are always full of these little details that are right there in plain sight, but you gotta go looking for them.
Yeah, it might take a couple of watches to pick up on them all.
And that's what makes him so great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a compliment. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is with Kubrick movies, the more times you see it and the more times you learn about something, the more you start unraveling like these. Stanley Kubrick movies, they are puzzles, very intricate, very complex puzzles. But the more you watch these movies and the more you learn about them, the more you start noticing little details, the more things start becoming more and more clear to you.
Yeah, I think the Space Odyssey movie would be the best example of that.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is something that you can only catch on Blu-ray. Is one of the astronauts has the letters. What was it? Has the numbers. I forget the exact numbers, but I know they correspond to the letters IBM on the alphabet. Almost as if Stanley Kubrick was taking a dig at the company IBM with that movie.
Yeah, I've never seen that on Blu-ray, so I have to check that out.
Yeah, the thing is, though, there's probably no way he could have known that Blu-ray was gonna happen. So that was probably just something he probably intended on putting in for himself.
Well, we may never know now whether it was intentional or not.
But yeah, but back to what you said about 2001 being an example of a film that's you start understanding the more and more the more times you watch it.
Yep.
Because the first time you see 2001, calling it a trip is one way of putting it. It's because the thing is, it's a very slow and very deliberate movie. Probably the slowest and most deliberate of all of Kubrick's films. But it really succeeds at creating this mood and this atmosphere of what it might feel like being in space. Because something that it does that's very ingenious is that the space scenes in 2001 are completely silent. You don't hear any noise, which is what space would sound like. And it also renders being in a zero gravity environment very well. And the soundtrack has this very alien, very discordant quality to it. And especially during the obelisk scene where Dave touches it and he basically goes on that whole trip, which only looks like a drug trip, I promise you. But yeah, you see that the first time and you're likely going to be left saying, okay, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah. I didn't actually understand that scene when I first saw it, I must admit.
Yeah, but the more times you do watch it, the more times it gets clearer, because
there's
a lot of... That film has a lot of eye imagery in it. Very subtle. Almost like the idea is that the film is trying to open your eyes and expand your horizons.
Which has become a thing for a lot of space-type movies in the future, sadly. They try to copy that, but they don't quite pull it off as well as he did.
I bet you're gonna say that about, what was it? It's that Christopher Nolan one.
Interstellar?
Yes.
Yep.
Then again, you don't like Christopher Nolan films anyway.
No, I think the only one I really enjoyed was The Prestige, to a certain extent. Batman Begins was alright, but yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the Batman ones all up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, going back to A Clockwork Orange, I mean...
Yep.
I mean, you and I could spend a long time just picking apart like all the little details in this movie and going into the production of it and all, but
there's a lot there to talk about for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, you could write a whole book on this,
which someone's probably going to do one day,
or someone already has,
yeah.
But of course, we'd also be remiss if we did not mention Malcolm McDowell's performance in that movie, which I think this might have been like his breakout role, right?
Yeah, I can't find anything on him before other than, just background type people. So this was his major step forward into the entertainment industry.
Yeah, and I think he might have given Malcolm McDowell a whole lot of leeway, Stanley Kubrick did, because he could see that. I think it was a case where he could basically see that Malcolm McDowell was Alex. He wasn't.
Could have been.
Yeah, I mean, like, he wasn't just an actor playing this character. Like, he literally was this character. Like, he got so into the role that he basically became the character.
Yeah.
And I say this as a guy who likes Malcolm McDowell's work generally. Watching this movie, it's hard for me to separate the actor from the character. Like, I honestly do not see Malcolm McDowell in this film. I see Alex.
That's the other thing about Stanley is, with what he did to Shelley Duvall, he requires a lot of method acting from his people. Yeah. A lot of method acting. He doesn't want you to play the character. He wants you to be the character. So if he did see Malcolm McDowell as Alex, he's thinking, hey, I can just let this guy run loose. I don't need to get in too much direction. Well, then that'll probably explain a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a very good performance. Like, this is, I mean, like, anyone who wants to get into acting, you have to watch the film for this performance alone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has everything down about this character, from vocal tone to body language to movement. Like, it was not hard for Malcolm McDowell to get inside this character's head, clearly.
No, none at all. I gotta admit, I'm not too sure how closely it follows the books either, because I haven't read that. And Stanley does have a habit of taking a book and building on it and making his own thing, which is fine.
He did that with The Shining.
He definitely did that with The Shining, for the better, I might add. But definitely got to think where, if the books and the movie are as different from each other as they are, like with The Shining, then Malcolm McDowell is, how did he get his Alex? I mean, that's a interesting question.
Well, from what I understand, the only real difference between the novel and the film is that the film ends a little bit sooner than the novel does.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like, right after Alex has his accident and ends up in the hospital, the novel has this whole epilogue where he goes back to his old ways. He has a new gang of droogs with him, and he's going about causing mayhem. But after a while, he starts to get bored of it and starts thinking, you know what? Maybe I'll just go straight, have a normal life, and maybe have a family. That's kind of how the book ends.
Yeah, okay, Stanley kind of fits in the right spot then, because it leaves open for the events to repeat themselves, but you're not dragging it on. Because the book ends, it's just dragging on a bit there.
Yeah, and but yeah, otherwise I think it's it more or less is pretty faithful to the book, which is a rare thing for Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, that's another reason why Clockwork Orange stands out from his other works, and yet another reason.
Yeah, I mean, I think like besides this, The Shining, the only other novel he kind of adapted was a book called Red Alert, which ended up becoming Dr. Strangelove, and let me tell you, the two couldn't be any more different from each other. Like, Red Alert basically plays like a straight drama, and I'm pretty sure you know what Dr. Strangelove is, right, Deantay?
Yes, I have an idea about that movie.
Yeah, it's a complete it's a total comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, the soundtrack that's used for A Clockwork Orange, that's 70s synthesizer. Sorry, you just do not hear anything like that anymore.
No, sadly. There's another thing. He always used to pick the best music for his movies. He always fit the tone really well.
And of course, there's also all the classical pieces he throws in. Like, he's got that when Alex and his droogs are fighting with that other gang, it's a piece called The Thieving Magpie.
Yep.
And you got the William Tell overture when he's got that when he brings those two girls over to his house. And, of course, there's all the Beethoven in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of Beethoven. Just trying to think, there was another bit of music. I can't remember which scene it was in. That'll come back to me. But yeah. The music almost plays an important part as the story itself, doesn't it?
Well, it really helps to tell the story, too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, like you said, when he does during the brainwashing scene, if it is the ninth, it is the ninth. Here's Beethoven's Ninth.
Yep.
Then that's setting up a lot of the story. You take away the music, and you still get the certain aspects of the story, but it takes a great chunk of it away, which is really good. Yeah, he really plans his stuff out well.
And I also think I can't remember if this was in the novel or not, but I think this might have been in the novel as well, that Alex liked in listening to Beethoven. And that's also something worth talking about, is just how good of a character Alex is. Like, I've seen him listed as with film villains. I'm not sure if you could really call him a villain, though, because I mean, on the one hand, maybe you could. I don't know. I mean, he's the story's protagonist. That's all we really need to know. But
yeah,
he is a very complex character. I mean, sure, he acts like he's at first glance he seems like he might be just a teenage psychopath, which he is. But right after he's gone through the Ludovico technique, it's kind of hard not to feel a little sorry for him. It's hard not to feel a little sympathy for him, because you just see just how badly he gets it.
Well, maybe that's actually what makes him a better villain, because the story is from his perspective, and the first chunk of the movie, it's him doing all these awful things, and you're thinking, God, this is an absolute cunt. I hope he gets what's coming to him. But then when it's actually happening, you're starting to turn. You're thinking, okay, this is a bit overkill now. Of course, by the end of the movie, he's ready to slip back into his old way, so he hasn't changed. But maybe that is what makes him a good villain.
Yeah, that he plays with your emotions.
Yeah. And
actually, you want to know an interesting thing?
What's that?
You want to know what character in anime Alex inspired?
Oh, what?
Kimberly from Full Metal Alchemist.
Kimberly?
The alchemist that makes things explode.
Yeah. Yeah, I know your name.
Yeah, Arakawa actually said that she got some of him from Alex in A Clockwork Orange.
I guess. We are talking about, like, for the Manga Brotherhood, not the actual... Because there's two.
Yeah, we're talking about we're talking about the Manga Brotherhood version, not the 2003 anime version.
Okay. I guess I can see it more so during the final fight with Pride, when he actually saves Edward because Pride's actually selling out as Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see it there.
Yeah, and he's all.
That's interesting.
And also, like, he sort of puts on this this sort of cultured look to himself, which is something.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he dresses well, he acts courteous, but, like I said, we know he's a psychopath. And that's kind of the same thing with Alex. Looks like he's a thug, he's a rapist, which I'm not exaggerating. There's that in one scene in the movie, like, when he and his friends break into that journalist's home. They beat him up, tie him up, and then Alex just goes to raping his wife as he's watching.
Yeah, that's a pretty disturbing scene.
All while he's singing in the rain.
Yep.
And so yeah, Alex is those things, but he's also an avid listener of Beethoven. So there's, and also another thing about how you mentioned, like, how when he's starting out in the first half of the movie, how he's a complete thug, and you're just hoping he gets what's coming to him, and then he does, and you start thinking, okay, this is a bit too much, and then you find out that he didn't really change at all. Well, you gotta remember who's telling the story, right, Deantay?
He is.
Yeah, Alex is, dear listeners, he's what's known as an unreliable narrator. Now, unreliable narrator is a very useful literary device if it's used correctly. It allows you to basically put yourself in the headspace of a character that is less than likable, and so you can still find some way to sympathize with them. But at the same time, it never... Once you actually see what they're doing, you obviously realize, okay, yeah, I'm not supposed to think what he's doing is okay. In fact, another book that did this to very excellent effect and was also adapted by Stanley Kubrick into a film was a book known as Lolita.
Lolita, yes, I've not read that book, but I do know the film.
Yes.
God, I need to get around to these books, I really do.
The thing with Lolita is, without going into too much detail, guys, it's the story of an older man lusting after a 12-year-old girl, I think.
And people complain about Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, but like I said, it's told from his perspective, so, like I said, he's an unreliable narrator. We're getting into his headspace and we're seeing, yeah, okay, I see how he thinks, but I'm still seeing what he's doing. He's not a good person. And it's the same thing
you can't get justification for it.
Exactly. It's the same thing with Alex in A Clockwork Orange. Like, he is the one narrating the entire story, so we are getting it from his perspective, but the thing is, being that we are the viewers, we're also seeing what he's doing.
These two books done by the same author? Just out of curiosity.
I don't think so. Let me look it up. Clockwork Orange is done by Anthony Burgess, and Lolita is... Oops, I spelled it... Whoops, I forgot something. Forgot the other L. It's done by, I assume, a Russian, because his name... it's a Russian-American novelist, Vladimir Nabokov.
Yeah, okay. Never heard of him.
Yeah, like I said, the unreliable narrator, it's used a lot, and it's not just in this case. Let's see where else I can find... Let's see what other places I can find the unreliable narrator used in. And... Come on,
I would say Sin City, but they try too hard to make you like the characters.
Yep.
Which is a shame.
Okay, here's a couple films where you get an unreliable narrator. You've got Forrest Gump. You got The Usual Suspects. You got Fight Club.
Oh, of course, Fight Club.
Yep, A Beautiful Mind. And that's just in film. Some novels that use that are like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Life of Pi. And, well, you guys already heard me say them. Oh, Huckleberry Finn also a bit of an unreliable narrator, but yeah.
I hate Forrest Gump.
What did you say? You hate Forrest Gump?
Yeah, I don't like that movie. And neither did the guy who read the books, because he prevented them from making a second one.
Really?
Yeah, look it up. He hated the first movie so much, and it was so different from his novels. They thought, no, he took the rights back so they couldn't do any follow-up movies.
I have to laugh at that, because I actually like that movie.
I don't like it.
Unreliable narrator, very useful literary device for helping you get in the headspace of a less than likable character.
Yeah. Mind you, Fight Club. Man, I don't know. Alright. I won't get into it. Save that for another day.
Exactly.
Back to Clockwork Orange. Yeah. I think we've been going on for almost an hour. I think the best way we could probably cap this off, Deantay, is, I guess, explaining how we sort of discovered A Clockwork Orange. Mine was, I was freaking way younger, and I just finished watching The Exorcist, and I was about 14 at the time. And absolutely loved that movie. It was one of those movies I watched for the first time and I fell in love with it. And the old man, he says, you might like A Clockwork Orange because it's quite similar. I know it's nothing like The Exorcist. We'll get to that. So he says, try this one. I thought, all right. So I managed to go on VHS. I was expecting another Exorcist type thing with demon possessions or some kind of ghosts. And I'm thinking, okay, what the fuck am I watching here? So for the first 30 minutes, I wasn't really enjoying it because all I saw was this guy going around, bashing around, doing crimes. I'm thinking, I'm not getting this at all. Of course, once the second half kicks in and I could see what the movie was going for, that's when I absolutely got into it and I'm really starting to enjoy it. But I think it was just I never actually asked the old man, and I should phone him up this one time and ask him, I said, why did you say this was like The Exorcist? What were you getting at here? Because I don't see the connection. But other than that, it's absolutely loved the movie once I actually understood what was going on. It's one of those ones that I watch yearly. No, every couple of years, actually, because I missed it last year. But, yeah, that's how I got into it.
Yeah, my experience with Clockwork Orange was that the first time I sort of got exposed to it was I found a book called 1001 Films You Need to See Before You Die, and A Clockwork Orange was listed in there.
So it should be.
Yeah. Now, I didn't immediately start from that. What the real impetus for this was when I saw Doug Walker's top 20 favorite films, and he listed Clockwork Orange as one of them. And at that time,
she's got some taste.
Yep. And at the time, was still kind of into the guy's work, so I decided, okay, I know about this film exists, so I might as well give it a shot. And at the time, was also still, I was very much into Stanley Kubrick, because I'd already seen in Dr. Strangelove and loved that film. And so I figured, you know what, maybe I'll like this one too. And I think I watched it with my brother. And
your brother, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much the rest is history. I pretty much got into it from the word go. This was a film that just hit all the right notes for me, I guess. Did not work for my brother, though, like I said.
Yes.
Was also one of the first times I'd seen such a graphic display of nudity in a film.
Yeah, it was really pushing the boundaries.
Which we should probably warn people about. Yeah, there's a lot of nudity in this film.
Male and female.
Yeah. Amazingly, you don't see Malcolm McDowell's penis in it.
You kind of do, but it's very brief.
Right.
It haunts me still.
Yeah, but there's and that scene where he brings those two girls to his house and he has sex with them. It's sped up, but
it's graphic enough.
It could, like, if you paused it in the right spot, it could basically qualify as porn.
Yeah, easily.
Also, interesting thing I came across one time was that apparently Malcolm McDowell has had more nude scenes in mainstream films than any other actor.
Well, Harvey Keitel, because he's done a few.
Yeah. Well, there's I'm trying to remember where I saw it. I can't remember, but I mean, there's this, and of course, there's also Caligula.
And Cats. You can't forget fucking Cats. Oh god, I hate that movie so much.
Actually, that's something that's worth talking about. And Malcolm McDowell, I mean, he's a great actor, but he's also kind of got a spotty record. Like, he either lands in a really good film or a really bad one.
He's kind of like Ben Kingsley, isn't it? Ben Kingsley's the same.
Yeah, really amazing actor, but he only usually picks like a really good movie or a really bad one.
Yep, there's no middle ground. Fucking Blood Rain.
Yes. Although now I have to ask, what is Malcolm McDowell's worst film? Is it Caligula or Star Trek Generations?
I'm going to go with Firestarter 2.
Wait, there's a Firestarter 2?
There's a Firestarter 2 and he's in it with Dennis Hopper, I think it is.
Oh my god.
It is fucking horrible. It is absolutely fucking awful.
Oh my lord. Jesus Christ, Malcolm. I remember actually coming across an interview where he talks about working on Star Trek Generations. And he said he actually considered it an honor that he got to be able to kill Captain Kirk.
No, who wouldn't? I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah, I'll give him that much.
Yeah.
Although still, me like, are you honestly gonna say Firestarter 2 is objectively worse than Caligula?
Yes.
Have you even seen Caligula?
I have seen Caligula. And I have seen Firestarter 2. I'm telling you, Firestarter 2 is way worse.
Just how it is... Okay, because Firestarter 2 sounds like it would be like a Z-grade E grade schlock fest. How is that worse than Caligula, which actually is pornography in certain places?
Okay, you got me on the pornography, but 5-star to 2, yeah, it is Z-grade schlock where nothing happens.
Oh, so it's not
nothing.
It's not even the kind of Z-grade schlock where you can laugh at it.
No, nothing happens. It takes off, sometime after the original Firestarter, and you think, okay, they're on the run, and people after them, and they're talking, and talking, and talking, and talking, and then at the end of the movie, they decide to just let them get away. I actually fucking lost the idea of the plot and what was going on, but they let them get away without even engaging them. Like, think, okay, what the fuck was this? Seriously, it's like, you got your 5-star and a boyfriend, and they're in this car. Malcolm McDowell and all these other people having these boardroom meetings, playing how to bring her in. And then think, you know what, fuck it, it's not worth it. We should just let it go. Let's go find something better to do.
Oh, man. Pretty sure this is not a film even alcohol could make watchable.
No. So that's why I think it is worse than Caligula too. I mean, at least with that, you've got shit that you can actually remember. 5-star to 2, I don't even know what the fuck. I don't even know what happened.
Yeah, say what you will about Caligula, but once you've seen that movie, schlocky as it is, as exploitive as it is, it at least has memorable imagery.
And Hera Miriam's in it as well, and she goes on to play the fucking Queen of England. No, it was actually coming back to your brother. There's actually an interesting point I just thought of. So your brother didn't like the movie because Alex didn't actually rise up to be a hero or to change.
Not really,
right?
Not really. Which he fully acknowledged was the point of it.
Yeah.
But by the way, that wasn't lost on him. It's just, I don't think the film just clicked with him like it did with me.
No, I get what you're saying. So this could be an interesting point. If people watch A Clockwork Orange and they think that this is going to be, your typical story of redemption, you got this absolute cunt, he does all these nasty things, and it gets turned around on him, and you're wondering if he's going to come out the other side, will this actually put people off? I mean, do people really want to see Alex redeem himself so much that the fact that it doesn't, they hate the movie?
That is a good question. Yeah, I mean, well, it's one thing you kind of have to get right down to is that Stanley Kubrick ultimately made movies for himself.
This is true.
That is why he is regarded as one of the true auteurs of film, because he made the films he wanted to make, and he was uncompromising in his vision.
That he was.
For better and for worse. So, if you're watching this expecting some sort of redemption arc for Alex, and, well, you may or may not, and not like what you get at the end, because he basically goes back to his old ways.
Yeah.
And he is.
There's no real happy ending to it, is there? That's the thing. It was just going to continue.
Yeah, there isn't, but there's not supposed to be. So
no, that's true.
That's another thing I like with Stanley Kubrick movies is that they play with your expectations. Like, once you think you've got it figured out, actually, I got a better way to put that. Once you think you know the answers, Stanley Kubrick changes the question.
Yep. Oh yeah, pulls the rug out from under you, and he does that so often.
Yep.
He does it when you don't expect either, so even if you can be prepared for it, he'll still get you. He'll still get you somehow.
Yep. And also, if you're someone who does not like movies that are dense, full of a lot of detail, like movies that require a lot of attention or require several watches for you to really get it.
Yep.
you're probably not going to like this either. If you like your movies to be more easily understood upon the first watch, you're likely not going to like this.
No, it's just definitely a thinking movie.
Oh yeah, and there's nothing wrong with movies that are more impactful on the first view.
No.
But you sort of have to temper your expectations with what you're going in. And also another thing that's probably not going to click with you is if you are not a fan of movies that like to take their time and be a little bit more deliberate with their pacing.
Yeah, and all his movies are like that though. So yeah.
Although I would argue that Doctor Strangelove is probably the fastest paced of his.
No, you're right. No, yeah, you're right there. Mind you, that's a very different type of movie, isn't it?
Yeah, and even though The Shining has a bit of a deliberate pace, it doesn't really feel that long.
No, it never does.
Yeah, the Stanley Kubrick movie that is slow and feels like it's slow is definitely 2001.
It's a good thing when you got a long movie and it doesn't feel long.
Yeah.
I mean, Quentin Tarantino's one of the other directors. He makes long movies, but they never feel as long as they really are when you're watching them because they just got you.
Yeah, it's the pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's the thing with a Clockwork Orange is that it's long. Personally, for me, it did not feel like it was long. But then again, I've already seen this movie, so obviously was able to get through it a lot faster than I was the first time. But if you don't like movies that are slow and deliberately paced, you're probably not going to like this.
No.
But I would argue that if you are a fan of movies, if you want to make movies, this is a movie you probably should watch.
This is a movie you have to watch. You have to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is a reason why Stanley Kubrick movies are still being studied by film students to this day.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah. He is the guy that everyone name checks, but no one makes movies alike.
No. I'm just trying to run my mind. No, I can't think of anyone. Not even close.
Yeah. Although, Steven Spielberg probably gave it a good shot with AI.
I didn't like that movie.
Yeah, still, I hate to quote Doug Walker again, but I think he might have had the best quote to put this all in perspective. That AI was a film that a close friend had been working on, had a lot of good ideas, and he didn't want to see it go to waste.
Yeah, I guess. I found it extremely boring and very predictable.
That's true. That's probably also the most un-Stanley Kubrick he's ever, because he wrote if I remember correctly, he wrote the majority of the film.
Yeah. You gotta wonder how much has also been changed in that as well, because I mean, if Stanley did it probably would have been great, because he would have, look, this is my fucking movie, and this is what I fucking want. Steven Spielberg is probably very lenient. He's like, oh yeah, we can change this, we can change that. We don't have to do this, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, so I think he was probably at least trying to stay as close as he could to what he would have thought Stanley's vision would have been, though.
Yeah, but he couldn't quite get there. Yeah, and it fucking shows. It shows.
Yeah, still, I mean, like, I at least give him some credit. He was at least trying to make sure that he wanted to at least see that his friend's film got finished.
Yeah, I'll give him that. And it's such a shame that the fucking last movie Stanley actually did was Eyes Wide Shut, and Christ, I dislike that movie so much. It's such a shame that Stenny, that was his last movie, and he went out on that, unfortunately.
Really?
Yep.
I still had to see Eyes Wide Shut.
I wouldn't recommend it, but you got to check it out anyway because it is his last movie.
True. Oh, you want to know something?
What's that?
You know another Stanley Kubrick movie, Barry Lyndon?
Yes.
Did you know that was originally supposed to be a Napoleon movie?
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I did not know that.
Not kidding. It was originally going to be a Napoleon movie.
Oh, fuck. What happened there?
A lot happened. I think what happened... I don't remember the exact details, but it was a... I think what happened was that he originally planned on making a more straightforward adaptation of the life of Napoleon, but for whatever reason, he could not get it through. And so, elements of it ended up in Barry Lyndon.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's some trivia for me.
Yep. Oh, and for Dr. Strangelove, this one's funny.
What's that?
That war room scene. Do you want to know how influential it is?
How?
After Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as President of the United States, he asked, "Hey, can I see the war room?" And the general told him, "There is no war room." And he's thinking, "No, what? What are you talking about? There was a war room in Dr. Strangelove." Yep.
Oh, wow. God, I wish that was a conversation that someone got on camera. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, but yeah, that actually happened though. He actually Donald fuck, I don't know why I was about to say Donald Trump. Yeah, Ronald Reagan. I think it might be all the whiskey. Yeah, Ronald Reagan saw Dr. Strangelove and thought that the Pentagon had a war room.
Okay, you know what? To be fair, there's probably a lot of people who think the Pentagon has a war room.
Yeah.
I did at one point, when I was back at college, 15, 16, seeing all these movies. It's like, wow, they got this really cool war room. Of course, it's not real. I know that now. I learned that lesson long ago.
Actually, an interesting thing about the war room, you can't see it because it's in black and white, but that war room, the table that they have in it, it's colored green.
Yeah.
There's a very specific reason why it's colored green. Because these guys are essentially playing a game with people's lives. Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's... But you couldn't pick up on that though, could you? Because it's in black and white.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, like I said, that is what makes Stanley Kubrick's movies so genius, is that they are full of these little hidden details that, until you learn about it, you don't really... Once you really get it, it's like their piece of this puzzle slides into place.
Yeah. No, I did get it. I was just thinking, okay, how the hell were you meant to fucking pick up on that? Yeah.
But the only way you probably could is if you looked up production notes or something.
Yeah, there's probably notes released years later, but that would go over so many people's heads even today if they just watched the fucking movie.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure he never intended it to be colorized.
No, I don't like when black and white movies get colorized anyway. It looks ugly.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen, I saw the original Night of the Living Dead. Someone tried to, colorize it. It looks fucking horrible. Give me the black and white version any day.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I'd probably agree with you there to a certain point, because like filming in black and white, it's a completely different animal from filming in color.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much said everything that we could say at this point.
Yeah, without stripping the movie down and delving ourselves into hours of fucking conversation.
Yeah, maybe we'll probably open this can of worms at a later date. And maybe we'll open it with Sam, because Sam has not seen this movie yet. It's
on his list.
No, that's not how you say it.
You just made the list!
Yeah, it's on. Actually, I need to get a soundbite of Sam saying the list.
That won't be hard to do. That won't be fucking hard to do. Just bring up any fucking really good movie or series and just wait. The list will come up.
Yeah, once we. Actually, I got a pretty good idea. I think I'll probably ship this movie over to Sam's place at some point, and then I'm assuming by that point he'll have his laptop issues worked out, and he'll see the movie, and then we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Which will be
actually be interesting to get his perspective on it as well.
Yeah, and I guarantee you this is going to be a movie Sam would love. This is a movie that's Stanley Kubrick movies are right up his alley. I guarantee you. He likes his movies slow and deliberately paced.
Yep. He'll love it.
He will love it. So, yeah.
So, watching this, Sam, you're going to get onto this, even if we have to fucking hold you down, take your fucking eyes open, and make you watch it. We'll play the 1950.
All right. So, thanks all for joining us this week on the Kiwi podcast. Be with us next week.